Hello everyone, welcome back to our Maya 2018 tutorial for our decorative box. In the last project we finished the modeling stage and we're getting ready to go ahead and start texturing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to now turn off the textures or turn off the reference images on our reference layer so because we don't need those anymore. So I'm just going to uncheck the visibility on this guy. There we go. All right, so now before we go ahead and start texturing this, we need to lay out some UVs for it. So we're going to go to UV, and actually before I even do that, I'm going to attach in the texture and open the UV editor so you can see what this looks like before I lay out the UVs or project the UVs. So before I go there, first I'm going to make sure my box is named correctly. So right now it says PQ1, which is the default name it's being given. So naming conventions, we're going to address that really fast. Column mesh, decorative, box. Okay. And then now I'm going to assign the shader to this decorative box so that we can attach some texture to it. So I'm going to hold down right mouse button on top of here and we'll get that floating menu. I'll go down to assign favorite material and just go over to Lambert. Okay. And then I will also delete history so that on the attribute editor, I'll just be this one here on the right here. Right now it's got a bunch of operations and it's going to take up a bunch of tabs. I don't want to surf over to it. So I'm just going to hit delete history. It gets rid of that. And now I can just click on the tab for Lambert 5. Okay. I want to rename Lambert 5 as decorative box Lambert. Okay. And underneath the color attribute, we're going to go ahead and attach in the texture that we're going to be using for our the texture for our box. So we're going to go ahead and click on this attribute here. We'll go to File. We're going to go to Folder. And we are going to go to where it says Decorative Box UV Texture. And it has those three textures we have been using for our reference images. Go ahead and hit Open and just project them all over our base mesh. Okay, so now I'm going to go to a split screen so you can see what this looks like before I project the UVs. So I'll put a split screen up and get rid of my attribute editor for now because I don't need it. I'm going to go to Panels, Panel, and UV Editor. Okay, so this is what I wanted you guys to see. Make sure that anytime you're working inside of your UV editor that you turn shell shading on. This icon right here that lets you see your UV shells with a blue kind of tint to them, so it's easy to see where the shells are at. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on this, move it off to the side so you get a little bit of a better view. So this is what it's saying our 3D model is being stripped down to in our 2D view here. And this doesn't really work. This is not projected UV. So we're going to go to this option over here on the main menu set. It says UV. I want to click on that. I'm going to go down to automatic and it'll automatically, oops, I have to be in automatic mode for that. Go to UVs and go to automatic. Okay. Now they're stripped down in a way that I can actually use them and texture my model. Now, before I get into this, I do want to point out that this is not a way that most people texture anymore. There are lots of programs out there that have changed the workflow. This is a very old style of texturing. So, but this is a good lesson just so you guys can get your feet wet on how to manipulate your UV shells and move them around the one by one space and just kind of get a feel for doing some UV editing. So also before I dive in here, just to kind of reiterate from past lessons that the texture space is this Cartesian system where it says one here and one over here. That is your U and V. And your texture has to stay inside, your UV shells have to stay inside this textured one by one area. If it goes outside, in some programs they'll repeat infinitely in tile, and others it'll just come out as black. So make sure that all your shells when you're done are inside this one by one area. Okay, enough talking about that. Let's go ahead and jump in. Let's go ahead and start texturing this. So I'm going to start by clicking on this shell here, and I can see that this shell belongs to this part of the box. So I'm going to move this over to the part of the box that doesn't have this little wedge over here, which is this part right here. Okay, so I'm going to move it right here. I'm going to rotate it on its side. Okay. And I'm going to scale it up so that does the best job of fitting the texture that's available to me. Okay. There's that. But I think that needs to be scaled a little bit more. In the y-axis. There you go. I was distracted by the little pop-ups. I just started the computer up right before I started recording, so little pop-ups keep happening. There we go. So if we look over here inside of our object, you can see that the texture over here looks really good, at least in this bottom part of the box. Okay, so I'm going to move along. Let's go ahead and keep this ball going. Let's see if I can get this whole thing texture before our time is up. So next piece is this one here. That belongs to this guy, which is where the wedge is at. So let's go ahead and move this over here. I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to scale it up a little bit. You can see pretty quick that the problem, and that's the wedge is facing the wrong way. So it's supposed to be facing this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to modify. I'm going to go to flip. Okay, so now let's flip the directions. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to scale it in the y-axis a little bit as well. There we go. It's pretty good. Not too perfect, but get as close as you can. Looks pretty good over here. So I'm going to continue on to my next shell. Okay, I'm going to grab this one right here. This one belongs to the shell on the opposite side. And yes, they can overlap. This is basically what's going to happen is as things are rendering, it's going to reference this texture map and assign color to the UVs based on the UV shell position. So if two shells are overlapping, they will just share that same texture information. So we can totally overlap, totally okay. All right, we'll scale a little bit in the y-axis. Now, if one is in the way of the other, you can always just move the one that was placed correctly and just make sure that this one fits good before I move the other one back on top of it. Scale this down just a smidge. Okay, let's get over here. So I'm just going to move this one straight back up in the Y so it overlaps. And that's good. Double check over there. That's good. Happy with that. Okay. I'm going to keep moving along here. So I'm going to select my next one here. I'm just going to move this one over. This one belongs to this guy, which should be this front one. Okay. Same thing, I'm just going to move this one up so it's out of the way. I'll just take this one and rotate it. Remember that there's the seam, so don't try matching it up to the top of the box. That's not going to work out for us. Okay. I'll just move it up here. Okay. So I've hit the edges here, so now I'll switch to the y-axis and just scale it going vertically. Okay, that looks like a good fit. I'll move this other one back down on top of it, and we'll be good with it. Okay, we go around the box. Things are looking pretty decent. Okay. Next step is let's deal with the top box actually. This part up here. This will give us an opportunity to kind of look at how we can cut and sew some things together. So we're going to go to edge mode. I'm just going to grab this chunk of edges right here. I'm going to go to cut and go to move and sew. And if you look over here, well, I guess it would be helpful for me to show you this if it was in the right spot. Okay, scale this down a little bit. Right there. Okay, there we go. That's the spot. Okay, so now you can see how the texture goes from up here and just seamlessly wraps around over here. That's good. That's what I'm going to try to get going on with the rest of this as well. So I'm going to go to these edges over here. Just do the same thing. I'm just going to grab this and go to move and sew. Grab these guys over here. Do the same thing. Move and sew. You see how some of this over here is overlapping. Do a move and sew right there. I'm actually going to grab just this set of UVs right here. Not the corner ones, but I don't want to really get out of hand. Control U. I'll relax these guys. This needs a little bit more down here. We're going to do another move and sew. And again, I'll switch over to UV mode. Grab this little set here. And as a hotkey for unfold, I'll hit Control U. And it just relaxes those guys. Okay. This is getting a little bit low on one side, so I'm going to rescale just a little bit. See how we're doing over here. These are looking pretty good. Just got one more side to do. Okay, so I'm going to go to edge mode again. Let's go ahead and get this part over here taken care of. Okay, that should belong to this guy over here. Okay, good. Let's go ahead and bring him in. So we're going to go to move and sew. Okay, I'm going to go to edge mode again. I'm going to select this group of edges. I'm going to go to move and sew. I'm going to do some unfold right here. So I'll hit Control U. Let's grab this set of edges here again. Do move and sew. Grab these UVs. Hit Control U. There we go. Relax those guys out. Do the same thing down here. Just grab this chunk of edges and just do a move and sew. Maybe not this guy here. Move and sew. Go to UV mode. Grab this chunk of UVs and hit Control U. Okay, that's good. Oops. There we go. Okay, let's do a final fitting here. Okay, so I got some texture on the side here. I'll probably scale this out just a little bit. Yeah, that's good enough. Now, yes, there's some texture space in the corners that could be utilized, but they'll create stretching. So I think I'm going to leave that alone. If I want it to be seamless, I can go through and pull that in, but I've done it in the past and it creates some strange stretching. So I think this will actually be okay, good enough. I'll move on to the last couple bits here, which let's see here. Or is it? Basically, what I'm looking to do is okay. What I'm going to do, I'll just take all this apart. So there's an icon called cut that will add cut marks, making new shells. Which will make it to where I can pull some of these guys apart. So if I wanted to grab a bit of this and put it right in here, so that this part right here has an edge showing, that would be good. So that means that this guy, oh, is it on this side? Yes, that is what I want. And where is that at? On this side over here. Yep. Okay. So yeah, that's where it has to go. Okay. So we're gonna go to move and sew. It's right here. I'm gonna control U. Black that a little bit. Take this bit right here. I'm gonna do move and sew. So I'll have to scale it back in the x-axis to fit some of that texture back in there. Okay, let's take a look at our object here. What I'm looking for is this part here. I want it to duck in here, and for this texture to go all the way around. Before, what happened, there was a line right across here where the texture shells weren't connected. Okay, so that's fixed. That looks good. I'm happy with that. The pieces on the inside, these guys in here, you can't really see those ones. So what I want to do is actually want to hide them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these shells that aren't visible really well. They're going to be the dark parts. I'm just going to scale them down kind of small. I'm just going to stick them inside the gray area of the texture space. Okay, that works. Okay, same thing we'll do with this one here. That is the bottom bit. That's not really visible either. So I'm just going to go ahead and scale this down really small. I'm just going to again put this over here in that same dark texture space. Okay. Let's see here. These the bottom of the feet. Yep, those are also all not visible. Scale all those down. Just hide those also in that dark gray area. These guys here, I believe, are the inner parts of the feet. And these ones, if I choose, I can actually, yeah, let's go ahead and add the extra time into that. I'll come back to finishing the seam on the bottom part here at the end. But we're just going to take each one of these feet and we'll just rotate and just fit each one of them in here so that they're have that same texture going all the way around. It is a little tedious because there's a bunch of little pieces that we have to do this to, but we'll make it to where there's a consistent result and not just this one texture on one side, but gray on the inside. So. Oops. Okay. Almost done. Just a couple more. There we go. Okay, so let's investigate here. So now you can see on the bottom side here that that texture now goes all the way around the bottom of the feet, which is great. All right, so now we have one last bit to deal with, which means I'm going to go through in edge mode. So I switched over to edge mode really quickly. I am going to double click all the corner bits because I really only need one side to fix this one problem. I'm just going to hit cut. And you can see here, this is the side that it's on. And I need that much of it to make it look right. So I'm going to cut off this one chunk here. I'm going to move and sew. Oops, not move and sew. That'll just reset what's currently on. So it should pop in over here, I believe. So go move and sew. There it is. And let me translate that up a little bit. Okay, let's go to UV mode. I'm going to take this chunk of UVs and see what happens if I just go ahead and unfold that. Okay, worked out okay. Let's bring this, oops, go back to UV shell mode so I can grab the whole thing. Bring this back down on top of it and see what that looks like. Okay. Actually looks pretty good. Okay, you can see how this little ring part here actually goes inside rather than up. That's okay. Other than that, like, this looks pretty decent. So my decorative box is officially textured. If you are in my classes, that's what I'm looking for. There is a shell right here. I'm actually going to throw on a seam right now, so I'm going to scale them down a little bit smaller. So that seam going right in the middle. There we go. Okay, so UV texturing is done. We'll go ahead and save. Okay, so in the next project, or I'm sorry, in the next lesson, we are going to look at doing a 3 light system, doing a little diorama type background for our decorative box, and create a virtual camera to do our final render. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next lesson.